There comes a moment in your life when pain stops feeling like an enemy and starts becoming your greatest teacher. When every scar, every betrayal, every sleepless night you spend breaking alone suddenly starts whispering back to you, this is why you're different. See, pain doesn't just hurt you, it shapes you. It forges your mind into something sharp, something unbreakable. Most people run from pain. They hide behind comfort, behind excuses, behind fake smiles and easy lives. But the ones who rise, the ones who dominate, the ones who turn every ounce of suffering into power, those are the ones who scare the world. Because they've learned how to use their pain as fuel, not fear. You ever wonder why people can't handle you anymore? Why they talk behind your back? Why they distance themselves? Why they can't look you in the eye the same way they used to? It's because you've evolved. You turned the very thing that was meant to destroy you into a weapon so sharp it cuts through weakness. You no longer react to pain, you respond with power. Every time life tried to break you, you studied it. You dissected the hurt. You found lessons where others found excuses. You turned heartbreak into hunger, failure into focus, and rejection into resurrection. That's why they can't handle you now, because you built a mind they can't manipulate and a spirit they can't drain. This isn't just motivation, it's survival. When pain hit, you didn't quit. You didn't curl up in pity. You stood up bleeding, trembling, and said, is that all you got? Because deep down, you knew something the weak never understand. So that every time pain hits you, it's giving you a chance to become stronger than before. Every tear trained your patience. Every disappointment built your resilience. Every dark day you walked through alone made you unstoppable in the light. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need validation, who doesn't need sympathy. You only need challenge, friction, and purpose. That's what pain gave you, the weapon that no one can take away. So when people try to bring up your past, when they try to remind you of who you were, smile, because they don't even realize they're talking about a version of you that no longer exists. Pain buried that person. What rose from the ashes was someone sharper, colder, wiser, and far more dangerous. You've become the embodiment of survival. You've turned your wounds into wisdom and your scars into strategy. You no longer fight for attention, you fight for evolution. You no longer chase comfort, you chase strength. And now every step you take, every breath you breathe, every decision you make carries the weight of every battle you survive. So if you're watching this right now, don't run from the pain. Embrace it. Let it carve you into the person you were meant to be. Because pain made you the weapon they can't handle. And once you realize that, you become unstoppable. 1, pain is not punishment. It's preparation. Most people run from pain because they think it's proof that something's wrong. They see struggle and assume they failed. They face rejection and believe they're not enough. But the truth is, pain is not the universe turning its back on you. It's the universe sharpening you for something greater. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment where you question your worth wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. Because greatness isn't built in comfort, it's built in chaos. In fire, in moments when you have every reason to quit but choose not to. Pain is the greatest teacher life has to offer, and it only teaches those strong enough to stay in the classroom. You have to understand, comfort breeds weakness, but pain breeds power. When everything in life feels easy, you're not growing, you're staying still, and stillness kills potential. Pain, on the other hand, demands movement. It forces adaptation. It pushes you to look at yourself in ways you never wanted to. When you go through something that hurts deeply, it strips away the fake layers you built to survive. It removes the lies you told yourself about how strong you were. Pain exposes the truth. It reveals who you really are when everything you relied on is gone. It shows you the raw version of yourself, the one that can't hide behind excuses anymore. That's why pain is preparation. Because before you can carry the weight of your destiny, you have to know what you're made of. Every person who's ever achieved greatness had to bleed for it. They didn't just wake up confident or unbreakable. They were broken many times, but every break became a blueprint for strength. Pain trains your mind to keep going when your emotions scream stop. It teaches you that feelings don't decide your future, choices do. You can feel hopeless and still keep pushing. You can feel exhausted and still take another step. That's how warriors are made. Not in victory, but in resistance. Every trial that feels like it's killing you is actually refining you. Every loss that crushes your heart is shaping your resilience. You don't grow in moments of applause. You grow in silence when no one sees you fighting battles that don't even have an audience. The world will try to convince you that pain is a sign you're losing, but pain is proof that you're still in the fight. It's evidence that you haven't given up yet. When you feel pain, it means your limits are being tested, and every time you survive it, those limits expand. That's how champions are born. They learn to suffer with purpose. They stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because when you shift your mindset from victim to student, the same pain that used to control you starts empowering you. The same suffering that used to break you becomes the fuel that drives you. Most people never make it past this stage. They mistake pain for rejection instead of direction. They think life is being unfair when in reality life is being strategic. Life will never give you what you're not ready to carry. So when it puts you through pain, it's because you're being molded for more. Think about it. A seed has to break before it grows. Metal has to melt before it's reshaped. A diamond only forms under pressure. Why do you think you're different? The pain you're experiencing isn't punishment for your past. It's preparation for your purpose. It's training you to handle the weight of your next level. Because if you can't handle the pressure of the process, you'll never survive the pressure of success. When life hurts, it's easy to want to escape, to distract yourself, to hide. But that's the moment you have to lean in. Because there's something inside that pain that you're meant to extract. Wisdom, endurance, clarity, discipline. You have to look at pain and say, you will not control me. You will shape me. That's the mindset that separates the average from the elite. The average person spends their life avoiding discomfort. The elite embrace it because they know every bit of pain adds a layer of armor. Every scar is another line of defense. Every heartbreak teaches emotional control. Every failure builds mental strength. Pain doesn't make you weaker. It removes weakness from you. You have to stop seeing pain as the enemy. Pain is a mirror showing you exactly where your work is. If it hurts, it's trying to show you something. It's pointing toward the areas that need growth, healing, or transformation. The problem is most people numb it instead of listening to it. They run to distractions, people, addictions, anything to silence the message. But if you silence pain, you silence your progress. If you bury pain, you bury your potential. The only way to grow is to face it, head on with courage and honesty. Because once you learn to endure pain, you unlock a power that comfort could never give you. You start seeing pain differently, not as suffering, but as sculpting. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of pain, a version that's wiser, calmer, stronger, and unshakable. But you'll never meet that version if you keep running from what hurts. You have to let pain do its job. It's carving away everything that's not meant to go with you to the next chapter. It's pruning your ego, your fears, your attachments, your illusions. It's forcing you to depend on strength that doesn't come from the outside world. And when you come out of that season, you don't just survive, you evolve. You become dangerous in the best way possible. Dangerous to doubt, to fear, to every weakness that once had power over you. That's what pain does. It transforms you from fragile to focused, from emotional to disciplined, from reactive to unbreakable. The truth is, every warrior has scars. Every champion has cried. Every strong person you admire has walked through fire. But what makes them powerful is that they didn't see their pain as punishment. They saw it as preparation. They understood that life was not trying to hurt them. It was trying to shape them. That mindset changes everything. Because when you believe pain has a purpose, you stop wasting energy complaining about it. You start using it. You start converting it into strength, creativity, discipline, and fire. You stop asking for the struggle to end and start asking for the wisdom to endure it. And when you reach that level, you become unstoppable. Because now even pain can't defeat you. It only builds you. That's what it means when we say pain is not punishment, it's preparation. It's life's way of building your mental armor, sharpening your emotional intelligence, and testing your hunger for greatness. Every moment you thought was meant to destroy, you was actually designed to awaken you. You were never being buried, you were being planted. And now it's time to rise stronger, wiser, sharper, the weapon that pain itself created. 2, the strongest weapons are forged in the hottest flames. That's not just a saying, it's the unfiltered truth about life, growth, and greatness. Every person who's ever risen above mediocrity was built in fire. They were broken, melted, reshaped, and tested beyond what most people could handle. Because that's what true strength demands, the destruction of comfort. You don't become powerful when life is easy. You become powerful when life throws everything at you and you still refuse to back down. Fires, pain, pressure, rejection, loss, humiliation, failure, and uncertainty all mixed together. But those who stand in that fire instead of running from it come out as weapons, sharp and dangerous to anything that tries to stop them. Think about how a sword is made. It starts as raw, useless metal, heavy, dull, and unshaped. To become a weapon, it has to face fire. It has to be heated until it glows, then beaten repeatedly, folded again and again, hammered until it takes form. Every strike, every moment in that furnace, every burn is necessary. Without that process, the metal stays soft, fragile, and ordinary. The same rule applies to you. You can't ask to be great without asking to be tested. You can't pray for strength without being put in situations that demand it. You can't ask to be unbreakable if you never experience what it feels like to almost break. The fire is not against you. It's working for you. It's refining your spirit, your discipline, your resilience, and your purpose. When life feels unbearable, it's because the heat has been turned up. That's not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're being forged. The fire doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to remove what doesn't belong. The impurities, the fear, the self-doubt, the ego, the laziness, the old habits, they all burn away in the process. That's why pain feels so cruel. It's tearing away the parts of you that can't survive your next level. It's uncomfortable because transformation always is. You stop wasting energy proving yourself to people who will never understand your struggle, because pain taught you what's real. It taught you that people come and go, that promises break, that life is unpredictable, and that's okay. Because now you know that your strength doesn't depend on what stays or leaves. Your strength depends on what you build inside when everything else falls apart. That's the kind of power no one can teach. It has to be lived. The reason some people can walk through storms without breaking is because they've already been through worse. They've already cried until their soul went numb. They've already failed in ways that forced them to rebuild from nothing. They've been betrayed, misunderstood, and left behind, and still they found a way to keep moving. That's why they radiate power without saying a word, because real power doesn't shout, it shows. You can feel it in someone who's endured pain. There's a calmness in them, a confidence that can't be faked. They've been tested, and they know what they're made of. On the other hand, people who never struggled are fragile. The moment life hits them hard, they crumble because they've never learned how to adapt, how to survive, how to find strength in pain. They've been protected from the very thing that could make them powerful. Comfort breeds weakness. It makes people emotionally dependent, easily shaken, and constantly searching for validation. Pain, however, strips all that away. It forces you to depend on yourself. It forces you to grow a backbone. It teaches you how to stay grounded even when the ground beneath you is breaking. That's what separates the strong from the fragile. Not luck, not talent, but pain. You have to go through things that make you question everything you thought you knew. You have to be humbled by failure, broken by betrayal, silenced by loss, because in those moments you learn who you really are. Pain will take your ego and crush it. It'll take your pride and expose it. It'll take your comfort and replace it with discipline. You'll hate the process while you're in it, but one day you'll thank it for everything it built inside you. Because when you've been through hell, heaven doesn't impress you. Stability does, peace does, purpose does. That's when you realize the most powerful people aren't the loudest. They're the calmest, because they've already fought battles the world knows nothing about. When you face pain, you gain perspective. You stop taking life for granted. You stop wasting time on meaningless things. You stop begging people to see your value. Pain gives you clarity. It shows you what actually matters. It makes you appreciate small wins and small joys because you know what it feels like to have nothing. It teaches you gratitude, humility, and hunger all at once. Those who've never known pain often walk around entitled, expecting life to go their way. But those who've suffered know better. They know that everything in life is earned. Peace, success, respect. And they fight for it with quiet, consistent effort. Pain introduces you to discipline. It shows you that emotion can't run your life anymore. When you've cried enough times, you stop reacting and start controlling yourself. You realize that pain is not a reason to quit. It's a reason to train harder. The more you suffer, the more you understand that comfort doesn't grow you. You start chasing discomfort on purpose because that's where your edge sharpens. You learn that every time you endure something painful, you add another layer to your armor. You stop fearing failure. You've seen it up close and it didn't kill you. You stop fearing rejection because you felt it and lived through it. That's the gift of pain. It makes you fearless. There's a certain power that can only be earned through suffering, the kind that no degree, no money, no applause can give you. When you face pain and kept going, you learn how to command your emotions instead of being enslaved by them. You learn how to stand tall, even when your mind tells you to collapse. You learn how to keep faith when logic tells you it's over. That kind of inner control can't be borrowed, faked. It has to be built through experience. That's why those who've suffered deeply often move with a quiet authority. They don't need to prove they're strong. Life already tested them and confirmed it. So yes, people who never face pain will never understand power. They might talk about strength, but they won't know what it feels like to fight while broken. And they might admire courage, but they won't understand what it takes to act when you're scared. So they might praise resilience, but they won't know the cost of building it. Pain is the initiation into real power. It's the process that transforms your weakness into wisdom, your fear into fuel, your wounds into weapons. You don't have to love it, but you do have to respect it. Because pain is the one force that doesn't lie. It exposes, it tests, and it prepares. And once you've faced it, once you've walked through it and come out stronger, you carry a power that no one who's lived comfortably could ever comprehend. You become unshakable. Not because life stopped hurting, but because you learned that nothing it throws at you can stop you anymore. For every scar has a story, but it's also proof that you survived. When you look at the marks life left on you, the emotional wounds, the heartbreaks, the disappointments, the betrayals, you're not looking at weakness. You're looking at evidence that you've endured. Scars aren't there to remind you of pain. They're there to remind you of strength. They are the visible signs that you faced something that tried to destroy you, and you didn't let it. Every scar, whether seen or unseen, carries the weight of battles fought in silence. They tell the truth that no one else can see. You were hit, you were hurt, but you healed. You didn't stay broken. You didn't surrender. You rebuilt yourself piece by piece, and that is what makes you powerful. There's something sacred about scars because they hold memory and transformation in one place. The pain that caused them might still echo inside you, but the fact that you bear them means you came out the other side. That's not weakness, that's evolution. People think healing means forgetting what happened, but true healing means accepting that it happened and knowing you're stronger because of it. The scar doesn't erase the pain, it redefines it. It turns a moment of suffering into a symbol of victory. You may still remember how it felt, but the difference now is that it no longer owns you. It's part of your story, not the end of it. When you've been through deep pain, you see life differently. You don't chase illusions anymore. You stop pretending everything is perfect. You stop hiding your wounds because you understand that your scars are not something to be ashamed of. They are your credentials. They prove you've been in the fight. They prove you've endured what others could. The most powerful people in the world are the ones covered in invisible scars, the ones who've lost everything and found a way to start again. Their strength doesn't come from never being hurt. It comes from never staying hurt. Every scar you carry has shaped who you are right now. Maybe one came from betrayal that taught you who's real. Maybe another came from failure that forced you to find another way. Maybe a scar on your heart came from losing someone you loved, and it taught you the difference between attachment and appreciation. Pain always leaves something behind. Sometimes it's wisdom, sometimes it's perspective, sometimes it's resilience, but it always leaves growth. The world might only see the surface, but you know the battles that built you. So never hide your scars. Don't be ashamed of them. They are your proof of life, your evidence of resilience. Every scar tells the story of a wound that healed, a storm that passed, a battle that ended with you still standing, and that's everything. Because pain might have marked you, but it didn't define you. It tried to end you, but it only strengthened you. Your scars are your testimony. They say, I've been through hell, and I came back wiser. They remind the world that you are not fragile. You are not a victim. You are a survivor turned warrior. You are living proof that even after being broken, you can rise again. Stronger, sharper, and more unstoppable than ever. 5. Pain has a strange way of revealing who you really are. Most people run from it, hide from it, or curse it when it arrives. But pain isn't your enemy. Pain is the voice of growth, the pressure that forces transformation, the fire that purifies every weakness out of you. The truth is, pain is the moment where the old version of you begins to die and something more focused, more determined, more dangerous is born. It doesn't just test your limits, it shapes them, refines them, and sharpens them into something unstoppable. Pain is what takes emotion, anger, heartbreak, frustration, disappointment, and transforms it into pure energy. It becomes the drive that makes you wake up earlier, push harder, and refuse to quit when everyone else does. Pain turns emotion into action, and that action builds power. Every person who's ever achieved greatness had to make that shift, from feeling their pain to fueling their progress with it. When life hit them, they didn't sit down and cry about how unfair it was. They got up. They built something out of the wreckage. They took what was meant to destroy them and used it as material to construct a new version of themselves. That's what separates the weak from the powerful, how you respond when life knocks the air out of you. The weak drown in their emotions, replaying the same pain like a broken record. The strong take that same emotion and convert it into obsession, discipline, and relentless motion. They don't need motivation. They've got memory. They remember how it felt to lose, to be betrayed, to be doubted, and they never want to feel that again. That pain becomes the fire that drives them through exhaustion, fear, and every excuse that tries to pull them back. There's something sacred about a person who has suffered deeply but still chooses to move forward. They understand that pain can destroy you or redefine you, and the decision belongs entirely to you. When you use pain as fuel, it no longer controls you, it empowers you. You stop seeing life as something happening to you and start seeing it as something happening for you. You begin to understand that every obstacle, every heartbreak, every setback was designed to shape your focus. It's the world's way of saying, we're not ready yet, but you will be if you survive this. And when you stop wasting energy fighting pain and start learning from it, that's when transformation begins. Pain forces you to look inward. It strips away the lies, the ego, the illusion that you're in control of everything. It reminds you that progress doesn't come from comfort. It comes from pressure. Think about it. Every major change in your life started with discomfort. You didn't grow when things were easy. You grew when things were falling apart, when you had to rebuild from nothing, when you had no choice but to get stronger. Pain teaches discipline because it gives you no other option. When your emotions are raw and your world feels heavy, you either give up or grind through it. And when you choose to grind, something changes in your wiring. Your tolerance for difficulty increases, your standards rise. You become less emotional about setbacks and more strategic about overcoming them. There's an art to converting pain into power. It begins with awareness. You let yourself feel every ounce of what you've been avoiding, not to suffer, but to understand. And in that understanding, pain loses its mystery. It stops being this monster in the dark. You see it for what it really is. Feedback, guidance, evolution. You realize you can survive it. And once you know that, nothing can stop you again. Pain is the ultimate truth teller. It exposes everything fake about you. Fake confidence, fake strength, fake peace. It brings the real you to the surface. It's in pain that you discover your limits and your resilience. It's in pain that you learn the difference between who you pretend to be and who you truly are. That's why mastery requires pain. Without it, you never meet your real self. You stay soft, distracted, and fragile. Pain introduces you to the version of yourself that can't be broken. It's not a version born from comfort. It's one forged through endurance. The version that rises after pain doesn't crave validation. It doesn't need sympathy. It moves differently because it knows everything that tried to destroy it only made it smarter and sharper. Once you master pain, your relationship with failure changes. You stop seeing failure as an end and start seeing it as an experiment. You stop fearing rejection and start viewing it as redirection. You stop avoiding discomfort and start chasing it because you know that's where progress hides. Pain no longer becomes a signal to stop. It becomes a signal to stop paying attention. Every setback becomes data. Every heartbreak becomes clarity. Every loss becomes a lesson. And when you live from that mindset, your power multiplies. You can no longer be manipulated by fear because you've already made peace with it. You no longer wait for conditions to be perfect because you know perfection is born from imperfection. People who master pain walk through life with a quiet confidence. They don't talk much about what they've been through. They don't have to. It shows in the way they carry themselves. Yeah. It's in their eyes, in their silence, in their refusal to quit when others would have crumbled. They've learned that no matter how dark it gets, they will always find a way through. That kind of self-trust is unshakable. And it comes from one thing, pain. Pain built their faith in themselves. Pain proved that no matter what happens, they can adapt, survive, and rise. So when new challenges come, they don't panic. They smile. They've already been baptized by fire, and they know how to walk through it. Pain will never disappear from your life. But the moment you stop running from it and start mastering it, you stop being a victim of it. Pain can't control what you don't fear. It can't manipulate what you accept. It can't weaken what it once tried to destroy and failed. When you master pain, you master life. Because every test, every heartbreak, every loss from that point forward becomes just another opportunity to sharpen your blade. You start seeing pain as a privilege, the universe's way of saying, I'm not done with you yet there's still more to build. And when you reach that mindset, you become untouchable. Not because you don't feel pain, but because you've learned to use it as fuel for your evolution. You become the calm in the storm, the fighter who doesn't flinch, the weapon the world can't handle, because pain is no longer your prison. It's your power. 7. The most dangerous version of you is the one who stopped running from pain, who stopped begging for peace, who stopped expecting life to be fair. That version of you, the one who finally stood still in the middle of chaos and said, do your worst, that's the weapon they can't handle. Because when you accept pain as your teacher instead of your enemy, you change the entire game. The world can't manipulate you with fear anymore. People can't control you with rejection, and circumstances can't break you with disappointment. You become immune to the traps that destroy most people. You don't need sympathy, you don't need validation, and you don't need comfort. You operate from a different energy, one that was born in the fire, one that doesn't seek escape, only evolution. Pain becomes the process, growth becomes your oxygen. And every time something tries to hurt you, it only refines you even more. The person who has made peace with pain becomes unpredictable, because while everyone else avoids the struggle, you walk straight into it. You no longer wait for things to get easier. You expect them to be hard, and you still show up. You're not attached to outcomes because you've already accepted that everything meaningful will cost you something. You know there's no progress without pressure, no transformation without tension, no greatness without suffering. And when that truth sinks deep into your spirit, pain loses its sting. It becomes a signal, a compass that points toward your next breakthrough. What was once unbearable becomes necessary. You start to crave the struggle because you understand that every drop of sweat, every tear, every ounce of frustration is building something inside you that comfort never could. When you stop running from pain, you stop being controlled by it. You start moving with power, not panic. Most people waste their energy trying to avoid difficulty. They make decisions out of fear of rejection, fear of judgment. But when you faced enough pain, you reach a point where you realize pain can't kill you. It can exhaust you, it can shake you, but it can't end you. Once you've survived enough, your brain rewires itself. You stop flinching when life hits you. You stop breaking down when things fall apart. You've already been there and you made it through. You start trusting your resilience more than your comfort. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. That shift is where strength is born, not from victory, but from endurance. Pain doesn't just build resilience, it builds awareness. When you stop avoiding it, you begin to understand it. You see patterns, how you used to react emotionally, how you used to let small things destroy your peace. You start recognizing how much of your pain was self-inflicted because you refused to let go of people, habits, or beliefs that no longer served you. And when that truth hits, it hurts, but it also frees you because now you're no longer a victim of life, you're a student of it. You begin to move intentionally. You start saying a no to things that drain you, yes to things that challenge you. You stop chasing distractions that numb you, and you start chasing experiences that sharpen you. That's what it means to be forged by pain. It's not just about surviving suffering. It's about using it to sculpt a mind that's aware, focused, and unstoppable. The world can't handle that version of you because they're used to people who crumble. They're used to people who chase validation, who depend on approval, who need to be liked to feel powerful. But the weapon that pain creates doesn't care about approval. It's fueled by purpose. You don't speak to impress, you speak to express truth. You don't chase comfort, you chase growth. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out and stand tall. Pain stripped away every illusion that used to hold you back. It taught you that love can hurt, that loyalty can betray, that life can be unfair, and you learned to keep moving anyway. You became your own motivation. You became your own safety. You became your own strength. And that's why they can't handle you, because you don't need them to survive. There's a level of freedom that comes with mastering pain that most people will never taste. When you no longer fear it, you become dangerous in the best way. You can take risks others won't. You can walk away from toxic situations without hesitation. You can start from zero without self-pity. You can lose everything and still smile because you know you'll rebuild it all again. Pain gave you that mindset. It destroyed your illusions so it could rebuild your faith in yourself. It took away temporary things so you could discover permanent strength. That's why pain is not your punishment. It's your preparation. Every storm you survived was sculpted in the version of you that could walk through fire without burning. And now, when life tests you, you don't collapse, you calculate. You don't retreat, you adapt. You don't break, you bend, and you return sharper. What they don't understand is that pain doesn't just harden you, it enlightens you. It shows you who's real and who's pretending. It reveals who can walk with you through darkness and who disappears when the lights go out. It exposes everything fake in your life and replaces it with truth. Pain teaches you boundaries, self-respect, and emotional intelligence. It shows you what deserves your energy and what doesn't. And when you apply those lessons, you stop wasting your life on things that drain your soul. You stop reacting emotionally to every small offense. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Pain trains your patience. It humbles your ego. It strengthens your faith. And all of that creates a version of you that doesn't panic in pressure. You perform in it. The weapon they can't handle is not the loudest one in the room. It's the calm one. The one who's been through so much chaos that silence became sacred. The one who doesn't need to prove anything because their existence already speaks volumes. You don't argue, you execute. You don't complain, you construct. You don't seek revenge. You outgrow, outwork, and outlast. Pain taught you that revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be. It's walking past your past self with pride because you know how hard it was to become this strong. The weapon isn't your anger, it's your self-control. It's your composure under pressure. It's your ability to smile while carrying scars that would destroy most people. When pain no longer owns you, you stop chasing peace from outside sources. You realize peace is something you build within. It's not about everything being perfect. It's about you being powerful enough to remain centered no matter what happens. That's the version of you the world can't handle. The one who's calm under chaos, patient under pressure, and fearless in failure. Because you're not living to avoid pain anymore. You're living to grow through it. You've turned the hardest moments of your life into the foundation of your strength. And that's something no one can take from you. You are no longer just surviving. You are evolving, adapting, and mastering every challenge that comes your way. So when life hits again, and it will, don't run. Stand tall. Remind yourself that pain has already done its worst, and you're still here. You've already faced storms that should have drowned you, but you learned to breathe underwater. You've already walked through fire that should have burned you, but it only forged your armor. Now you are the storm. You are the fire. You are the weapon. Not born from luck, not born from privilege, but born from endurance. The world can't handle that because no matter what they throw at you, loss, heartbreak, failure will take it, transform it, and come back sharper. That's what happens when pain stops being your enemy. It becomes your greatest ally. It becomes the proof that you are unbreakable. You gotta understand something. Pain was never here to destroy you. It was here to introduce you to the version of yourself you didn't even know existed. Every sleepless night, every heartbreak, every failure that tore you apart was quietly sharpening your mind and building your character. The people who tried to break you, the moments that tried to bury you, they didn't realize they were watering the seed of something unstoppable. Look at you now.